All right, let's jump into this deep dive. You sent over some really fascinating articles and research about the cryptocurrency market, and I gotta say, I'm pretty intrigued.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now, that's for
So
sure.
especially with Bitcoin. You've got all this stuff about a potential bull market, the rise of altcoins, and then, wait, there's even something in here about an AI arms race happening at the same time.
It's crazy, right? All this stuff happening in parallel. You've definitely picked a good time for a deep dive.
So let's start with Bitcoin. The sources mention people are investing for different reasons. Some see it as a good investment. Some think it's a hedge against, well, traditional currencies losing their value.
Hmm.
And others just believe it's a fundamentally better system than, regular money.
Right, right. And those are all valid perspectives. But the thing is, what's really driving this recent surge? Bitcoin hit $110,000 in January, which is just, wow.
Yeah.
It can't just be hype, right? The sources point to a few things. One is the U.S. Federal Reserve cutting interest rates. When that happens, people tend to look for, better returns elsewhere, and crypto often looks appealing.
Makes sense. So it's like when interest rates are low, people start looking for other places to put their money where they might get a bigger return.
Exactly. And then on top of that, you have some political figures promising friendlier regulations for crypto. That could be huge.
Oh, so.
Well, think about it. If the regulatory landscape becomes clearer and more predictable, it could encourage big institutional investors to get involved.
Ah, okay. So it's not just individual investors anymore. It could be like major financial players getting in on the action.
Exactly. And then there's this halving event that happened in 2024.
Yeah, yeah. One of the sources mentioned that it basically reduced how fast new Bitcoin is created, right? But I'm a little fuzzy on how that impacts the price. Can you walk us through that?
Sure. Think of it this way. Imagine you have a limited edition collectible. The rarer it is, the more valuable it becomes, right? Well, Bitcoin is designed with a limited supply, and this halving event basically cuts the rate at which new Bitcoin enters circulation in half. It makes existing Bitcoin scarcer, and with scarcity often comes.
Higher value.
Exactly. And historically, these halving events have often led to price increases.
Interesting. So less Bitcoin, higher price. Okay, so with the price so high right now, do you think maybe now's the time to sell? I mean, one of the sources said Bitcoin needed to break $73,738 to enter a new price discovery range. And, well, we're way past that.
That's the big question, isn't it? We're definitely in uncharted territory here, which is, well, exciting, but also, as always with crypto, a bit uncertain. One source even brought up this concept called hyper-Bitcoinization.
Pipe what?
Hyper-Bitcoinization. It's the idea that eventually Bitcoin could actually replace traditional currencies altogether. Now, that's a pretty bold prediction.
Yeah.
But if even a fraction of that happens, we could see prices skyrocket beyond anything we've ever seen.
Wow. So it's like nobody really knows where this is going, but the potential is just massive.
Exactly. And, adding to that, you've got all these price predictions from different models, and they're all over the place. Some suggest Bitcoin could hit, say, $87,000, while others say it could go beyond $500,000 in the next year alone.
Yeah, I saw that. And it's like, how are you even supposed to make sense of that? Those numbers are so far apart.
It can definitely be confusing. The thing is, these different models use different methods. Some look at supply and demand, some analyze historical trends, and others try to compare Bitcoin to things like gold. It's important to remember, no model is perfect.
Right?
They're offering different perspectives based on different factors, but none of them can predict the future with certainty.
So don't blindly trust any single prediction.
Exactly. Do your research, understand the limitations of each model, and most importantly, form your own informed opinion.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's move beyond Bitcoin for a moment. The sources keep mentioning altcoins. Now, I get that they're basically any crypto that isn't Bitcoin, but what makes them worth exploring?
Think of it like this. Bitcoin might be let's say, the trusty hammer in your toolbox, but altcoins are all the other tools, the screwdrivers, wrenches, and pliers, each with its own specific purpose.
Okay, that's a good analogy.
For example, you have Cardano, which is
Oh,
focused on building a secure and sustainable platform for, decentralized applications. Then you have Polkadot, which is all about connecting different blockchains together, enabling them to, work together seamlessly.
so each altcoin has its own, like, superpower.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
And then there's Chainlink, which acts as a bridge between blockchain technology and real-world data, bringing that real-world information onto the blockchain.
Okay, so I'm seeing that there's a whole lot more to the crypto world than just Bitcoin. The sources even highlight a few hidden gems, like VetChain, which I guess is being used for supply chains, Basic Attention Token, which is doing something with digital advertising, and Golem, which lets people share computing power. Are these worth looking into for like the average person,
Yeah.
especially with all this talk about, potential for big returns?
They're definitely worth learning about, and they really showcase the diversity of the altcoin market. Each one is tackling a specific problem, and, if those projects succeed, the returns could be substantial.
But I guess with higher potential returns comes higher risk, right?
Exactly. There's always a trade-off.
Okay, so before we go any further, we got to talk about something that really threw me for a loop when I was reading through the sources: DeFi and yield farming. I'm going to be honest, it all seems incredibly complex.
I hear you. It can definitely be a lot to wrap your head around.
So, can you break it down for me? Like, what are DeFi and yield farming in simple terms?
Sure. So decentralized finance, or DeFi, is basically a parallel financial system built on blockchain technology. It's like, imagine a world where you can lend and borrow money without needing a traditional bank.
Oh, okay, interesting. And all the transactions are recorded transparently on the blockchain.
Exactly. It removes the need for those traditional middlemen. And yield farming, it's a way to, let's say, put your crypto to work to earn passive income.
So, how does that actually work? What are some real ways people can, get involved in yield farming?
Well, one popular way is by providing liquidity to decentralized exchanges, or DXs.
Mhm.
It's like, imagine you're becoming part of the market-making process on an exchange. You're basically facilitating trades and earning a fee for every transaction.
Okay, so it's like you're helping the exchange function smoothly and getting rewarded for it.
Exactly. Another way is through yield aggregators. They're like, think of them as robo-advisors for DeFi.
Robo-advisors.
Yeah, they automatically move your funds between different DeFi protocols, trying to optimize your returns.
Wow. So it sounds like there are different strategies for yield farming, but understanding the risks is crucial before jumping in, right?
Absolutely. And that's where doing your research is super important. You need to understand how the different protocols work, what the potential rewards are, and most importantly, what risks are involved before putting your money in.
All right. I think that's a great place to pause. We've covered a lot of ground already, from Bitcoin's bull run to the world of altcoins and this fascinating glimpse into DeFi. We'll pick up the conversation in part 2, where we'll delve deeper into these yield farming strategies and explore those AI developments you mentioned earlier.
Sound good. Welcome back. It's pretty wild to think, while we were talking about Bitcoin and altcoins, this whole other revolution was happening, in the AI world.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
And it's not just that they're happening separately either. The sources you shared, they kind of hint that this convergence, this like coming together of finance, tech, and AI could have some pretty big consequences, and not just for, investors.
You're talking about like implications for, well, everyone.
Exactly. If you take a step back and look at the bigger picture, these sources, they bring up some pretty fundamental questions like Bitcoin, right? Its whole goal is to shake up traditional finance, make it decentralized, give people more control.
Right.
But what happens when AI becomes so advanced that it can manage finances, make investment decisions, maybe even create whole new financial systems? Could AI end up playing a bigger role in finance than humans?
Whoa. Okay, that's a pretty intense thought.
It is, and it kind of makes you wonder about, well, everything else too, doesn't it? Like, if AI can disrupt finance, what other industries are next?
You know what? I'm going to be honest. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed by all this talk about bull markets and AI revolutions. Can we maybe pause for a second and just talk about what this means for, the average person listening right now? Like, what should they be taking away from all this?
That's a great question, and I think the key takeaway here is, well, knowledge is power. The more you understand these trends, the better equipped you are to make informed decisions, whether that's, looking into crypto investments, learning about AI, or just staying aware of these rapid changes happening around us.
I like that. Knowledge is power. It's not about becoming an expert overnight. It's just about like staying curious, staying informed.
Right, exactly.
Speaking of informed decisions, the sources mention different investing strategies, things like dealing, swing trading, and day trading. Can you break those down for someone who's maybe thinking about, dipping their toes into the crypto world?
Sure. Think of it like different ways to climb a mountain range, okay? HO dealing, that's like setting up base camp and weathering any storms that come your way. It's about holding on to your crypto investments for the long term, believing in their, long-term potential.
Okay, so oat dealing is for the patient, long-term focused investor.
Exactly. Requires patience and, as you said, belief in the underlying technology. Got it. What about swing trading?
Swing trading is more like navigating those, peaks and valleys. You're trying to time the market, profit from those shorter-term price swings. Takes a bit more skill. You got to pay attention to market trends.
Okay, so more active than HO dealing
Right.
and day trading. That sounds a bit intense.
You could say that. Day trading is like scaling those really steep cliffs. It's fast-paced, high risk, requires really quick decision making. Day traders, they're trying to profit from those, minute by minute price changes.
So it's like choosing your adventure level in the crypto world. HO dealing, base camp. Swing trading, navigating the peaks and valleys. Day trading, you're like hanging off a cliff.
I like that analogy. It's a good way to visualize it.
But before anyone runs off to, buy Bitcoin or try day trading, the sources are really clear about one thing. Building a well-rounded crypto portfolio, yeah, that's super important. Building a crypto portfolio, it's similar to traditional investing, but, with its own unique elements. You got to do your research, understand different asset classes like we talked about with Bitcoin and altcoins. Diversifying your holdings is key. And never forget, set a budget, define your goals, and understand your own risk tolerance. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose.
Solid advice. The sources also talk about this thing called dollar cost averaging. What's that all about? And how can it help someone who's, brand new to crypto?
Dollar cost averaging is great for beginners because it takes the emotion out of investing. Instead of trying to time the market, which is, well, basically impossible, you invest a set amount of money at regular intervals, regardless of the price.
So even if the price is down 1 week, you still invest the same amount you would if the price was up.
Exactly. Over time, this helps you average out your purchase price, lessens the impact of those big market swings. It's a disciplined strategy that can lead to, more consistent returns over time.
Okay, so don't put all your eggs in one basket and don't try to be a market timing guru. Got it.
Yeah, those are good rules of thumb for any kind of investing, really.
Let's go back to this link between Bitcoin and AI for a moment. The sources suggest that if Bitcoin's goal is to change how we think about money, AI could do the same to, well, pretty much everything. That's a huge statement.
Yeah.
Can you give us some specific examples of how AI might disrupt different industries?
Sure. Let's take healthcare, for example. AI is already being used to develop diagnostic tools that can detect diseases much earlier and more accurately than, traditional methods.
Oh, wow.
And AI-driven drug discovery is speeding up the development of new treatments. It's even helping to make personalized medicine, treatments tailored to an individual's unique genetic makeup a reality.
That's incredible. It sounds like AI is on the verge of completely changing healthcare as we know it. What about other industries? What kind of impact is AI having on, say, transportation, manufacturing, or even the creative arts?
Oh, it's touching everything. Transportation, big time. We're already seeing self-driving cars and trucks emerging, and AI is being used to optimize traffic flow in cities. It's even playing a role in developing, get this, flying taxis.
Flying taxis? Come on, that's straight out of a sci-fi movie.
I know, right? But it's happening. In manufacturing, you have AI-powered robots automating tasks, making factories more efficient, and allowing companies to create customized products on a much larger scale.
So AI is basically bringing the future to life right before our eyes.
Exactly.
Is it changing creative fields too?
Absolutely. Even the arts are being impacted by AI. There are algorithms that can compose music, generate artwork, even write scripts.
No way.
Yeah. AI tools are being used by artists and creators to push creative boundaries, explore new forms of expression. It's pretty amazing.
It really is. But all this talk about AI doing things humans currently do, it raises some big questions about the future of work, doesn't it? Like, what happens when AI can perform tasks that humans have always done? Are we all going to be out of jobs?
It's a valid concern, and one we definitely need to address as a society. Some experts believe AI will create more jobs than it displaces, just like, previous technological revolutions have. Think about the internet, for example.
Right. It wiped out some jobs, but it also created a ton of new ones.
Exactly. So maybe we need to adapt, learn new skills to thrive in this, AI-driven world.
So maybe instead of being afraid of AI taking our jobs, we should be thinking about how to, work alongside it.
Right. Others argue we need to prepare for a future where work looks very different, maybe involving more collaboration between humans and AI. We might see new types of jobs emerge, jobs focused on managing or overseeing AI systems.
So maybe the future isn't about humans versus AI, but humans and AI working together.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance, that synergy.
Okay, so it's not all doom and gloom, but it does sound like we need to be proactive, think about how to prepare for these changes.
Definitely. And it's not just about jobs either. AI is a powerful tool. And as the sources point out, it's crucial to use it responsibly.
What do you mean by responsibly?
Well, who gets to control these AI systems? How do we ensure they're used ethically for the good of everyone, not just for profit or power? These are the big questions we need to be asking.
Yeah, you're right. We can't just get caught up in all the cool possibilities and forget about the potential downsides.
Exactly. This is a conversation that needs to involve everyone. Policymakers, tech leaders, ethicists, and, society as a whole. We need to make sure AI systems align with human values, that they contribute to a better future for all of us.
It's a lot to unpack, but these sources have definitely highlighted how important it is to, stay informed about these emerging technologies and their potential impact. Okay, let's take a moment to let all that sink in and come back in. Part 3, to wrap things up with some key takeaways and final thoughts. All right, we're back for the final part of our deep dive. My head is definitely spinning after all that, Bitcoin hitting those record highs, altcoins kind of carving out their own space, and AI just changing everything.
It's a lot to take in, that's for sure.
Yeah. One thing that really stuck with me from the sources is this idea of a cycle. Like we see it with Bitcoin's price going up and down, the excitement around different altcoins kind of coming and going, and even how AI development seems to happen in these like bursts. It's like there's a rhythm to it all.
Yeah, and that's a good point to remember. It means we shouldn't get too caught up in the the ups and downs. Just because Bitcoin dips a bit doesn't mean the bull market's over.
Right.
And just because an altcoin isn't like trending on Twitter doesn't mean it's not quietly building something really innovative, potentially groundbreaking.
So basically, don't panic sell at the first sign of a dip and don't just chase the shiny new thing.
Exactly. It's about doing your research, having a strategy, and sticking to it.
Whether you're talking about crypto or AI.
Right. Both are powerful technologies, but they're still relatively young. There are going to be ups and downs, amazing breakthroughs, maybe even some setbacks along the way. The key is to approach these fields with a level head. Be informed, but also, have a healthy dose of skepticism.
Okay, so as we wrap this up, what are the most important takeaways for our listeners? As they navigate this exciting and sometimes overwhelming world of crypto, AI, and, well, the future of everything.
I think it boils down to this. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged. The world's changing faster than ever before, and technology is driving that change. Embrace it. Keep learning, keep asking questions, keep exploring new ideas, and never forget, technology is a tool. It's up to us to decide how it's used, how it shapes our world.
I love that. Technology is a tool. Then on that note, I want to leave you with a final thought, something that really resonated with me from the sources. They called these new AI models, the ones popping up everywhere, billions of brains. It's fascinating, but also a little bit, well, intimidating.
Yeah, I get that.
Makes you wonder, if Bitcoin is trying to change how we think about money, could AI actually disrupt thinking itself? How will we adapt to living in a world with billions of artificial brains? It's definitely something to think about, and it just underscores how important it is to keep having these conversations about the future. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep learning, and we'll catch you next time.